Hi everyone, my name is Carlo, and today I will be presenting on the Bornean orangutan, which is a critically endangered great ape. The Bornean orangutan was chosen for this presentation because it's one of the most critically endangered great apes, and its population has dropped sharply in recent decades. This species plays a critical role in maintaining forest health, especially through seed dispersal that supports hundreds of plant species in its natural habitat. Studying the Bornean orangutan also highlights how conservation and stewardship work together because its survival depends directly on our human efforts. And overall, it represents a powerful example of why preserving biodiversity is very important. The Bornean orangutan, scientifically known as Pongo pygmaeus, is native to the island of Borneo, where it occupies tropical rainforest habitats. This species has a strongly frugivorous diet, relying heavily on seasonal fruit availability for its energy. Because they disperse the seeds of more than 500 plant species by ingesting the seeds of the fruit they eat and then defecating them later on in new locations, they play a really important role in maintaining forest regeneration and biodiversity. Bornean orangutans are highly intelligent and have been documented using simple tools and problem-solving strategies in the wild, which reflects their advanced cognitive abilities. So now let's talk about some behavioral interactions and pressures, which help explain why orangutan behaviors make the species so vulnerable to disturbance. Bornean orangutans rely on extremely large continuous forest areas that support their solitary lifestyle and scattered feeding patterns. So when forests become fragmented, their natural behaviors are very much disrupted. Because fruit resources are spread out across the landscape, they must travel longer distances to find enough food, which becomes much harder when habitat loss removes key fruiting trees, which are the trees that have the fruit that they eat. Their behaviors are also make them highly sensitive to forest change since they depend on the canopy pathways and specific nesting sites. The loss of even a small section of forest can interfere with movement and increase energetic stress. Finally, their slow development and long maternal dependency mean that behavioral disruption has long-term effects. Because each individual takes so many years to fully reach independence, it's kind of hard to repopulate when we have anything catastrophic happening to them. So now let's look at population ecology and interactions, which describes and looks at how the size of species populations change over time. Bornean orangutans have a critically low population of about 104,700 individuals, and they reproduce more slowly than any other ape, with females giving birth only once every 7 to 9 years. And this slow reproductive rate makes it nearly impossible for populations to recover quickly from decline. Habitat fragmentation isolates groups and prevents gene flow, which increases the risk of local extinction. The illegal pet trade is also a really big issue, and it further reduces numbers because capturing an infant usually involves killing the mother of the infant, and these population level pressures explain why the species continues to decline so rapidly. Bornean orangutans interact with many different species in their forest community because they move through both the canopy and the forest floors. Even though they are usually considered arboreal, they come down to the ground more often than previously believed, especially in areas where the forest has been disturbed or where there are gaps in the canopy. This ground movement causes them to overlap with many other primates, like the macaques and the langurs, which spend far less time on the forest floor. By traveling on ground, orangutans also come into contact with a variety of land-dwelling animals, including pigs, civets, and several carnivores that share the same space. They are also known to continue living in logged or disturbed forests, which means that they must interact with species that thrive in human-altered environments. Overall, these patterns show that orangutans have a flexible or ecological role and interact with a wide range of species across both arboreal and terrestrial layers of the forest. Ecosystem interactions involve how orangutans respond to physical factors like forest structure and resource availability. They mainly use the upper canopy for food and nesting, but the article shows that they come down more often when trees are disturbed. Deforestation, fires, and land conversion reduce fruit availability and force orangutans to travel farther. Because they require large, healthy ecosystems to survive, environmental change puts major stress on these orangutans. Several major conservation strategies are currently helping protect the Bornean orangutan. One of the most important efforts involves strengthening anti-poaching laws and improving enforcement, since many infants are still taken for the illegal pet trade and their mothers are often killed in the process. Another key strategy focuses on rescuing and rehabilitating the young orangutans that have been confiscated or surrendered. These infants are cared for in rehabilitation centers where they learn the essential survival skills before they are released back into the wild. Habitat protection is also a major priority. Conservation groups work to create protected forest areas and restore damaged landscapes so that orangutans have a safe, connected environments to live and travel in. Many organizations are also partnering with logging and palm oil companies to promote more sustainable practices and reduce habitat loss and limit human orangutan conflict. Together, these efforts help slow species decline and support the long-term survival of Bornean orangutans in the wild. In the Christian worldview, humans are called to act as stewards of God's creation. In Genesis 1:26, it explains that humanity was given responsibility to rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, the livestock, the whole earth, and the creatures that crawl on the earth. And this rule is understood not as domination, but as care, protection, and wise management of the natural world that God bestowed upon us. Because of that, conserving endangered species like the Bornean orangutan aligns directly with the Christian stewardship. These animals are vulnerable due to habitat destruction caused by our human activity, and preserving biodiversity becomes a moral duty reflecting our commitment to care for creation and safeguard the balance of the ecosystem that God created. And these are my references. Thank you for watching this entire presentation. I hope you have a good rest of your Thanksgiving.